Best changes in 1.19.3. The creative inventory. The ordering of tabs and the contents in the creative inventory has been tweaked to make the experience of finding relevant blocks and items easier. Blocks and items have been moved into categories that fit them better, and they're now ordered by their material as much as possible. For example, all oak blocks and variants are now next to each other. Some items can now be found in more than one tab, and various tabs have been renamed or collapsed into others. A colored blocks tab has been added that contains all blocks with 16 color variants, and the petrified oak slab has been removed from the creative inventory. Why was that there in the first place? However, it can still be accessed through commands. Some missing items have been added to the creative inventory, which include Suspicious Stew, Dragon Egg, Ominous Banner, Monster Spawner, all 3 flight durations of fireworks, and also operator-only blocks and items like command blocks and barrier blocks. These will, however, only appear in the Operator Utility tab if you have both the Operator Items tab option in the control menu set to on, and the required operator permissions, which means you have to have cheats enabled on your single player world or have operator on a multiplayer server. Tooltips. When tabbing through buttons, tooltips are displayed above or below them. They're displayed when hovering over the item with the cursor, and tooltips are for all items in the creative menu outside single category tabs, which show categories where this item can be found. Previously, this only happened in the search tab. The Vex. Changes were made to the Vex's model and textures. The Vex now matches the Allay model, which could give us a bit of information about Minecraft lore, as imprisoned Allays are also found in pillager outposts. The Vex retains its old, now slightly oversized hitbox to make it easier to fight. Block support. When opening, shulker boxes will now pop off blocks which are attached to open faces, such as torches. Spawners. Spawners no longer have a default mob spawn when placed by a player. Before, this was the pig. They will also no longer emit fire particles when the mob spawn has not been set. The spawners were renamed to Monster Spawner to match Bedrock, and the purple text color was removed. Pick block using the middle mouse button or a different button that was set now works for spawner blocks to make it easier to access them. The mob type is also now displayed in the hover description for spawner item stack, and if a mob type has not been defined yet, the hover description will now describe how to set it. Items. New spawn eggs have been added for the Ender Dragon, the Iron Golem, Snow Golem, and Wither to creative mode. Ender Dragon and Wither spawn eggs will only be available through commands to prevent accidental destruction of players' builds. The polar bear's spawn egg colors have also been tweaked so that it's easier to distinguish it from the gas spawn egg. Miscellaneous new features in 1.19.3. The new 1.20 experimental features and bundles are now available through built-in experimental data packs, and you can enable them when you create a new world. A new panorama scroll speed accessibility option to change the speed at which the menu panorama scrolls has been added, and the new default skins are also added for offline players. Sounds. Various wood types now have unique sounds when placed, broken, or walked on. There are 3 sets of unique sounds: overworld wood types, nether wood types, and bamboo when the experimental features are enabled. Step sounds can now also be heard when walking on carpets, lily pads, small amethyst buds, and when walking through nether sprouts, glow lichen, crimson root, and warped roots. In the nether dimension, endermen, skeletons, and wither skeletons will now only spawn at light level 7 or below, instead of light level 11 and below in previous versions. This change was made to stop overpowered farms where nether mobs would spawn inside of nether portals and be instantly teleported to the overworld. It also now stops any nether mobs from instantly traveling to the overworld in regular nether portals. The wild update music has also been tweaked to be slightly less loud. New game rules have been added. These include block explosion drop decay, mob explosion drop decay, and TNT explosion drop decay. When set to false, all blocks exploded by the mob or TNT drop loot. When set to true, blocks drop loot randomly and will not drop the same amount of exploded blocks. The default is false for TNT, but true for block and mob explosions, which means that when you explode something with TNT, the default setting will make it so that it does not drop every single exploded block. Water source conversion and lava source conversion game rules were also added, and when set to true, which make infinite sources of that fluid. This defaults for true for water and false for lava, which means that if you want to have infinite lava sources, you'll need to have to change it using this game rule. Lastly, global sound event game rule was added, which controls whether certain gameplay moments are heard by all players regardless of where they are. For example, when killing the Wither or the Ender Dragon. This defaults to true, which means if you don't want these sounds to be heard by all players, you'll have to set it to false manually.